As it turns out, this is a very unique church here in the old city of Jerusalem. It's not so much unique because it's the oldest Protestant church here in this old city. It was built in 1849, but it was funded by the London Society for the Evangelism of the Jewish people. That was its raison d'etre. That's its purpose. These folks are deeply interested in converting the Jewish people to Christianity using Jewish symbols and icons. Here, if you look on top, there it is, Jeremiah chapter 31, describing days are coming, saith the Lord, that will forge a covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, a Brit Chadasha, a new covenant, another name for a New Testament. You get the message. On the bottom, again, a Jewish message. This is not typical church stuff. This is not typical Anglican stuff. The rector of the church is coming now. The gathering here in the evening on the day of Sabbath is what time? Please ask inside and find out when will the Sabbath services be happening, because in this place they actually house a Messianic congregation that meets and greets on the Shabbos day. What they oppose is the Jewish faith. What they're committed to is baptizing the Jewish people, converting them to the Christian faith. That's why the rector, the guy behind me, is literally the head priest of this church. And as it turns out, this church is essentially a progenitor to other Messianic congregations all over the land of Israel. Hundreds of them that are preaching the gospel to Jewish people. And they do this in a way by blurring the distinction between Judaism and Christianity in order to lure Jews who would otherwise resist. The purpose is to defeat the Jewish faith, not the Jewish people as a nation. Antiochus Epiphanes IV, the Syrio-Greek Empire, their purpose wasn't to physically destroy the Jewish people or even to destroy the Jewish homeland as the Romans would and as so many others throughout history. Their purpose was to rob the Jewish people of their faith, of their connection to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And that's what we celebrate on Hanukkah, defeating the spiritual entity that sought to destroy Judaism. They wanted to take the Jewish people and Hellenize them, the Hebrew to turn it into Greek. That's what was the difference. They do want to bring the commission not just of Matthew 28, verse 19, to go into all nations and preach the gospel, but it's the commission also of Matthew chapter 10, to the Jew first and then to the Gentile. Moreover, Romans chapter 1, verse 16, that's the kind of commission we're talking about here. I'm not ashamed of the gospel. It's the power unto salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and then to the Gentile. As it turns out, this church ignited the modern-day Messianic movement. Throughout this country, the most vulnerable Jewish people are being evangelized to bring them to know about the cross. Millions of people worldwide are going to be celebrating Hanukkah. Hanukkah marks the miracle when God delivered the Jewish people from Antiochus Epiphanes IV, the king of the Seleucid Empire. They didn't want to physically harm the Jewish people, but they wanted to destroy the Jewish people spiritually. One wanted to rob them of their connection to God. Ultimately, a Maccabean family would be successful. So successful that they would defeat the Seleucid Empire, but much more importantly, they would defeat the effort to destroy Judaism. In essence, in the darkest moment of the year, in the middle of the winter, a light was shown for the children of Israel. In turn, we light the Hanukkah message by sending that light to God. Bear this in mind. The work of helping Jews in the church is not simple. The effort requires reaching out to Jewish people lost in the darkest places. That effort is not cheap. Would you give from what God has given you so our work can continue, so that Jews who are already here return back to the truth and the beauty of the Jewish faith? Happy Hanukkah.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי